Your Midco Sports Network game recap from Frost Arena in Brookings, and another impressive win for the South Dakota State University men. They beat Denver by 30 here on Saturday afternoon, 69-39. Knew it, and it's just been unbelievable what they have done in these last really 6 games, but they've won 8 in a row now in the Summit League.
Yeah, they've won 8 in a row after dropping their first 2, and during that stretch, they're outscoring people by almost 20 points a game, and they did it again here today, just pounding Denver by 30. And when you consider this is a low possession game because of Denver's style, a 30-point win is huge.
All right, first half looks like this as South Dakota State goes out to a 9-point lead, but Denver came in, did what they did in Denver when Denver beat South Dakota State. Made a bunch of shots early. They made their first 3 threes and made 4 of their first 4 shots.
Yeah, they got off to a really hot start. They were in a good rhythm, and it's almost like South Dakota State was just still trying to kind of feel things out. South Dakota State, on the other hand, though, was shooting a pretty high percentage to start with. They hit 4 of their first 5, so they were able to hang with the Pioneers.
Jack's shot at 62% in the first half. Cody Larson got going. And as you said, after that first media timeout, about 4 or 5 minutes into the game, something changes, and South Dakota State defensively just turns into a different team.
They really do. It's like they make the adjustments that are needed to be made, and they really start locking in. Tonight, it was really about forcing Denver into some tough shots and then forcing Denver into turnovers.
Pioneers turned it over 16 times total. Nate Engesser came in, hit a couple of shots there, but only one guy in double digits tonight. We'll get to that with Denver and Daniel Amigo, but George Marshall finishing it off there. A turnover that turns into points,
exactly.
And South Dakota State's just been taking advantage of every opportunity that they have.
It really does seem that way. South Dakota State just kind of makes every team that they play against pay for their mistakes. You know, you turn it over, it leads to layups. You make some defensive mistakes, miss some assignments. South Dakota State has guys making shots at the right time, and it's just all clicking right now.
All right, 32-23, South Dakota State at halftime. And then in the second half, Denver went cold. South Dakota State kept the pressure on. Jackrabbits with Marshall, and then DeAndre Parks really lit them up early in the second half with a back-to-back-to-back baskets.
Parks had it rolling early on, and it was great to see DeAndre Parks and George Marshall side by side really having dynamic games here. Again, more transition buckets. That one Parks finishing.
Parks with 13, Marshall with 20. Brett Olson on a shot there, but again, he only had 8 field goal attempts tonight, made just 3 of them on his way to 7 points. Daniel Amigo, the big freshman for Denver, leads them with 14. South Dakota State keeping the pressure on. Marshall there, he shoots 7 of 10. Jackrabbits shoot it 59.5% for the ball game and win it by 30.
They outscored Denver 37-16 in that second half. Just blitzed them. Did a fabulous job locking down defensively and scoring on a very efficient way.
We've seen good South Dakota State teams in the last 2 or 3 years. I've not seen a run like this. Have you, where they've just dominated for this long a time?
Not really. Even when they had Nate Walters and their teams that went to the NCAA tournaments, they had their ups and downs, but man, they are locked in right now. Now, I will say they've had a nice stretch of home games here.
True.
And they're going to have to go and do this on the road here, especially next week. They got to go to IUPUI, and they got to go to IPFW, a team that's playing really good basketball here now has kind of found some confidence. I think that's going to be a key matchup for South Dakota State.
That is the one. Up next for the Jackrabbits at Fort Wayne. We'll see if they can keep rolling here. 8 wins in a row for South Dakota State as they go to 8-2 in the Summit League. Denver drops to 3-6 in Summit League play, and the Pioneers still looking for a road win in the Summit League. But here in Brookings, 69-39, South Dakota State is the final, and that is your Midco Sports Network game review.